So USA Today just dropped this headline, mainstream media at its finest. They're saying XRP is the smartest crypto to buy with $500 right now. And honestly, I find it pretty endearing when legacy media tries to tackle crypto and XRP specifically. They're clearly out of their depth with this whole asset class, but bless their hearts, they're giving it their best shot. The thing is, they mess up the basics every single time. Take this article. They actually claim Ripple created XRP. I mean, come on. That's crypto 101 stuff right there. But hey, at least they're putting in the effort. Don't get me wrong, though. The article isn't terrible overall. It's obviously bullish on XRP, which you can tell just from that headline alone. They're practically gushing about it, and that's pretty interesting for a few reasons. Look, here's the thing. When mainstream media suddenly starts buzzing about XRP or crypto in general, that's usually your classic top signal. We're probably getting close to the end of this cycle. Now, don't panic. I'm not saying we're crashing tomorrow or anything like that, but mark my words, by the time this cycle wraps up, crypto is going to be all these media outlets talk about. I've seen this movie before. Back in 2017, well, technically early 2018, CNBC was running segments on XRP right as it was absolutely mooning to its all-time high around 330 or whatever it peaked at. Could have been slightly lower, but you get the idea. Point is, XRP was hitting its absolute peak after starting that whole run from basically half a penny. So there it was trading around $3, maybe a bit higher or lower when they actually filmed this thing. And CNBC was literally giving viewers a step-by-step tutorial on how to buy XRP on live TV. If that's not screaming top signal, I don't know what is. Picture this. You've got CNBC anchors telling people to go hop on exchanges and start buying crypto. When that happens again, and trust me, it will, I'm going to be pointing and laughing like crazy. That's exactly the kind of stuff you see right before everything goes sideways. Now, look, I'm not saying we're at that exact moment right now, but it's definitely something to keep on your radar. That's why me and a bunch of other people joke about mainstream media coverage being a top indicator, except we're really only half joking about it. Obviously, there's basically zero chance XRP has actually peaked this cycle. I'm betting we're going way higher into some absolutely insane, face-melting price discovery territory. But just keep your eyes open for these signals. Quick disclaimer before we dive deeper, though. I don't have any financial background whatsoever. I'm not giving you financial advice here, and you definitely shouldn't buy or sell anything based on what I'm saying. All right, let's dive into this thing. So they start off saying $500 doesn't feel like much these days, especially if you throw it into the S&P 500, where you're looking at maybe 10% annual returns if historical trends keep doing their thing. Hold up, though. They say you invest it in the index itself, but that's not actually how it works. You're buying an ETF that tracks the index. Maybe I'm being picky here, but come on, shouldn't mainstream media know this basic stuff? Anyway, we're talking about maybe $50 a year in gains. Then they go on about how crypto offers way bigger potential gains than traditional stuff like stocks and bonds, but you've got to deal with more volatility. And here's the thing, volatility is the whole point of investing. I get it. Nobody likes watching their portfolio tank, and honestly, I'm not a fan either, but that's just part of the game. As long as we're trending up over time, that's what matters. Seriously though, what would be the point of putting money into something that just sits there doing nothing? Are you just trying to preserve wealth? Where's the fun in that? Anyway, they wrap up by saying they're going to explain why XRP, which they weirdly call the payments-focused token digital XRP, what even is that phrasing, could be a solid long-term play as it keeps winning regulatory battles in the US and tries to shake up international payments. Look, folks, here's the deal. We're way past wondering if XRP is going to make it. That ship has sailed. Back in 2017, sure, you could have reasonably asked that question, but not anymore. XRP has already won. It's been adopted, it's working, it's not some lab experiment anymore. Companies all over the world are using it in their payment flows right now. It's functioning as a bridge currency, and yeah, some people are actually using it to buy real stuff instead of traditional fiat. And get this, there are all kinds of assets tokenized on the XRP ledger, money market funds, T-bills, even gold. Gold is literally tokenized on there. We're not sitting around wondering if this is going to happen. It already has. The real question now is, how long is it going to take everyone else to catch up to what you and I already know? If you're tuning in during August 2025, you've already cracked the code, or maybe you're brand new, in which case, welcome to the party. But either way, you're ahead of basically every other human on the planet. We're talking way less than 1% of people have ever bought XRP. Way, way less. And honestly, I feel pretty grateful and fortunate about that. That's exactly why we're seeing these crazy returns. And XRP isn't even close to being done yet. So Trump's election win absolutely sent crypto through the roof. And honestly, it's not rocket science why Wall Street got so pumped up. The guy literally promised to back the digital asset industry during his campaign. His administration is actually delivering on those promises, maybe even going above and beyond with all this new legislation they're pushing through. Which brings me to a question. Where the heck are all those people who kept insisting Trump was just blowing smoke about being pro-crypto? You know, the ones saying he was only pandering for votes? Because man, were they spectacularly wrong about that one. Look, I'll admit it. I did think Trump would be crypto-friendly, but holy cow, he's blown past even my wildest expectations with this pro-crypto push. It's absolutely mind-blowing what's happening right now. Anyway, so on July 18th, Trump signed something called the Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. Yeah, they made it spell out genius because of course they did. Basically, it's setting up the framework for dollar-backed stablecoins. And here's why this is huge for XRP specifically. Ripple launched RLUSD back in December. That's their stablecoin. Every single transaction on the XRP ledger requires XRP. Sure, RLUSD runs on Ethereum too, but on the XRP ledger, you literally can't do anything without XRP. This is fantastic news for anyone holding XRP. So on the surface, this law basically gives crypto the official stamp of approval as a legit mainstream asset class. That's going to make businesses and big institutional investors way more comfortable jumping in without worrying they're accidentally breaking some obscure rule. The Genius Act is a complete 180 from what we dealt with under the previous administration, where lawsuits and enforcement actions were basically crushing crypto adoption left and right. And yeah, Ripple Labs, XRP's developer, that's what I was talking about earlier, got caught up in all that legal mess. Wait, hold up. Did they just say Ripple built XRP? Seriously? XRP existed before Ripple was even a thing. This stuff isn't rocket science, people. But speaking of clarity, remember that Mr. Burns lookalike Kim Jong-Gensler? You know, the former SEC dictator before Paul Atkins took over as chair? That guy kept insisting everything was perfectly clear in crypto regulation. What do you mean there's no clarity? Of course there's clarity. Well, hey, Gary, if everything was so crystal clear, then what exactly is this whole Genius Act about? Because if there was already perfect clarity, why would we need a bill specifically designed to create more clarity? Obviously, Gensler was straight up lying through his teeth every single time he spouted that ridiculous line. It was absolutely maddening because we all knew he was full of it. Thank God he's finally gone. Anyway, so back in 2021, Ripple lost MoneyGram as a client, one of their biggest partnerships at the time. MoneyGram basically dropped Ripple's XRP-based liquidity solutions like a hot potato after the SEC came after them with that securities lawsuit. Now, the article says the case has been, quote, largely resolved, unquote, with XRP not being classified as a security when sold to retail investors, though they mention there are still talks about settling fines for institutional sales. But here's the thing, they're getting this wrong too. The case is literally over, done, finished. The only thing left is the formality of wrapping up appeals, but the actual lawsuit, that's in the rearview mirror. And they're also botching the retail part. Yeah, XRP was declared not a security, but the way they're wording this is completely off base. The court was specifically looking at Ripple's transactions, not making some blanket statement that anytime XRP gets sold to retail investors, it's automatically not a security. That's not what the ruling said at all. And look, you can absolutely structure XRP or Bitcoin or any crypto in a way that makes it an illegal securities transaction. Of course you can. You can package literally anything into an illegal securities deal if you really want to, but that doesn't make the underlying asset itself illegal. That's just common sense. So yeah, their wording is completely off, but hey, it's mainstream media. What do you expect? Now, here's where they actually nail it. XRP's main selling point is its focus on real-world utility. Bingo. That's exactly what draws us in. Here's the thing. We're not some cult in the XRP community. I mean, look at the Bitcoin maximalists. Those people have completely chugged the Kool-Aid and then asked for seconds. It's like a straight up religion to them, which is honestly pretty ridiculous. What I've noticed about our community is that we're here because we see XRP for what it actually is, just an asset. We don't worship it or anything crazy like that. We just recognize it as a fantastic investment opportunity. Plain and simple. I think that's true for basically everyone holding XRP. We believe utility actually matters in this space, and coins that have real-world utility, they're going to be worth way, way more down the road as more people, businesses, and institutions pile into crypto. That's exactly what got me hooked on XRP in the first place. That was my light bulb moment when I realized crypto was here to stay for good. Back in 2017, when I was just starting to wrap my head around this whole space, I had this massive epiphany. There are actual business models that literally cannot exist without decentralized cryptocurrencies that actually work and do what they're supposed to do. That was it for me. As soon as that clicked, I was like, oh man, crypto is never going anywhere. Now, sure, there are plenty of other reasons it's not disappearing either, and I've definitely come around to those too, but that moment was when everything just made sense. Obviously, this stuff isn't going away. So yeah, real-world utility actually matters. XRP can do what Bitcoin simply can't. It can actually function as a peer-to-peer cash system. Plus, there's a whole bunch of other stuff you can do with it. Now, here's where the article goes. Instead of trying to be a platform for highly speculative and often useless decentralized applications, XRP focuses on the more tangible market for international payments. Hold up. This is classic mainstream media being mainstream media. XRP isn't focusing on anything because XRP isn't sentient. It's not making strategic decisions here. What they should have said is that Ripple is focusing on positioning XRP as a bridge currency for international payments. I get what they're trying to say, but come on. Words matter. XRP is just a decentralized cryptocurrency, period. People can use it for whatever the heck they want. That's none of my business or anyone else's. It's their asset. They can do whatever they please with it. Most regular folks aren't using it as a bridge currency, but Ripple, they're absolutely going all in on that use case. But here's the thing. You can use XRP for tons of other stuff too. Like I mentioned earlier, there are actually people out there using XRP to buy real things, not just trading it or holding it, literally purchasing goods and services with it. So they explain how XRP's speed and crazy low fees, we're talking 0.00001 XRP per transaction, make it perfect as a bridge between different currencies. Like if someone in the US wants to send money to Japan, they could buy XRP with dollars, then use that XRP to buy Japanese yen, totally skipping all those slow, expensive middlemen. Then they say dollar-pegged stablecoins are going to make this whole process even smoother by getting rid of the volatility you get with a free-floating bridge currency like XRP. Look, you can make that argument if you want, but I'm sticking with what I've been saying for years. XRP transactions happen so ridiculously fast that volatility literally doesn't matter like 99.9% of the time. It just doesn't. We're talking seconds here. There's no time for meaningful price swings to mess things up. Plus, here's the obvious part everyone seems to miss. XRP is going to keep being used in these payment flows because Ripple built Ripple Payments, and they have every incentive in the world to keep XRP as the go-to asset for foreign exchange transactions. It's their system, their currency. Of course, they're going to prioritize it. So instead of just letting their territory get invaded, XRP's developers decided to jump into the game themselves. Back in 2024, they launched their own dollar-pegged stablecoin called RLUSD. Here's the brilliant part. When people use RLUSD, it actually benefits XRP holders because both tokens run on the same network. Every RLUSD transaction fee gets paid in XRP, and then that XRP gets burned, completely removed from circulation forever. They actually got that part right. And this is exactly why I laugh when people start freaking out about Ripple focusing on RLUSD. Oh no, are they abandoning XRP? Is this going to kill long-term adoption? Are you kidding me? RLUSD literally cannot function on the XRP ledger without XRP. That's just how it's built. The more people use RLUSD, the more XRP gets used and burned. It's a win-win situation. Number goes up, people. Then they ask the million-dollar question. Is it too late to buy XRP? Come on, that's easy. Obviously not. Can you even imagine what XRP is going to be worth 10, 15, 20 years from now? You're going to look back at this moment and think, holy crap, I actually got to buy XRP when it was only $3. That's exactly what people are going to be saying. Picture this. You're going to meet someone a decade from now and casually mention that you had the chance to buy XRP in this price range, and you actually did it. A lot of you got in even cheaper than this. People are going to be straight up jealous. And honestly, I think most of them really will be because hardly anyone knows about this opportunity right now. You'll look back and think, wow, those really were the early days. And no, it's definitely not too late to buy XRP. Almost nobody on the planet has even bought it yet. We're still early in this game. Now, they mentioned that despite XRP's relatively small unit price of $3.15 when they wrote this, it's actually the third largest cryptocurrency with a $187 billion market cap. They point out that while this huge size gives it more brand recognition and stability, investors shouldn't expect those crazy explosive returns XRP had in the past. Slow and steady wins the race, they say. And you know what? There's definitely some truth to that. I've been talking about this for years. Once there's more money in an asset, it takes way more money flowing in to make it double, triple, or quadruple in price. That's just math. So yeah, you're not going to see that insane 80,000% return we got in 2017 and early 2018. Those days are behind us. That's absolutely true. But here's the thing. You don't even need those crazy returns. In terms of actual dollars, we're still going to be hitting mind-blowing new highs. That's basically guaranteed at this point. Then they go and mention that the Montly Fool analyst team just identified what they think are the 10 best stocks for investors to buy right now, and XRP wasn't one of them. Wait, what the actual hell are they talking about? XRP isn't a stock, you absolute morons. Maybe that's why XRP didn't make your stock list, because it's a decentralized cryptocurrency, not a company share. Dear God. This is exactly what I was saying at the beginning. It's honestly kind of adorable when mainstream media tries to tackle crypto. They're giving it their best shot, bless their hearts. But look, overall, the article is actually pretty positive. I'm not going to roast them too hard. I'm just having a little fun here. It's getting more eyeballs on XRP, which is great, and expect way more articles like this as time goes on. But I'm telling you right now, if any news network ever starts teaching people how to buy XRP on live television again, that's your cue to run for the hills. That'll be the end of days right there. If that happens again, it's game over. Oh, the good times we're in for, though. Just remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and you definitely shouldn't buy or sell anything based on what I'm saying. That would be a spectacularly bad idea.